The tall, gangly thing?
Hello and welcome. Today I am joined by BunnyMuffins, TFT YouTube content creator. You might know his videos, whether he's breaking down the strongest comps in the meta or showing you how to climb the ladder. BunnyMuffins, thank you so much for joining me here tonight.
Yeah, no worries, Gangly. Thanks for having me on.
So before we start, why don't you just talk through a little bit about yourself?
So I started creating TFT content for like a little over a year now. I'm still doing like full-time work. I do like consulting work outside of TFT, and yeah, just kind of living my life throughout this whole like quarantine situation or lockdown situation.
So, you're talking about how you're doing content creation now. Is this kind of your first venture into content creation? What's your background in content creation look like?
So I wrote like a couple of Hearthstone guides like way back when, maybe like 5-6 years ago. But that was really it. I didn't really play too many games between that 5 years until now. And part of that was just because I was graduating college. I was trying to start working right outside of that and just more focused on my career at that point. But then recently I played TFT. It's like similar to a bunch of games I played in the past in terms of skill set. Obviously the auto battler genre is quite new. And yeah, just had a blast after that, then just started making content for TFT.
One of the things that separates you from other content creators is that, your videos aren't stream highlights, they're not meme builds. You focus more on educational content. What made you want to take your content in that direction?
Well, at first it was because I was good at the game. Now it's, there's a lot of ways to play TFT, and a lot of times if you like try really, really hard at these types of games, like any card game, any random like base game, it's very frustrating to play competitively. And even if I were good enough, I'd have to spend a lot of time into it. I'd have to put in a lot of work, and there's no guarantee of a payout, both like based on my ability and based on whatever you get in the game. Because in games like TFT, low sample size, it can really hamper a lot of players. But content creation is a little different, and I found that there's like very effective ways to play TFT pretty well without spending too much time into it. You just need to learn a lot of the basics. You'll see that a lot of players, they might take like a 3-month break, they come back, and then like in 2 days they're challenger. It's just because you need to know all the basics of the games, and I'm just trying to spread that out to some other people, because a lot of people, they try to overcomplicate things in these games, and even though it's great to like try to copy the best player in the world, chances are we're not going to be able to play like that. So I tried to simplify that for a lot of other people.
I think it makes sense. Yeah, a lot of players, they try to emulate the top players without having the same foundation. I think it's important that there are people like you who are kind of laying that out for newer players. So you were talking before about how you are not doing content creation full time. You have a job outside of content creation. What I would love to know though is, if the opportunity were there, do you think you'd ever do content creation full time?
So I do plan on like not working like my full-time job pretty soon, but that's kind of unrelated to content creation. So I guess I could, like the whole YouTube thing, that's more of something that I can do after that. But yeah, if you take care of your career first, like you could do anything afterwards after a few years.
In a game like TFT, or in a lot of games in general where people are making content on YouTube, the games and the content tend to become very saturated. And you're one of the few in TFT who has risen to the top, on top of being one of the few who's risen to the top despite not being a popular streamer. What are some of the main things that you attribute your success to?
So quick comment on that question. I really don't think the TFT content on YouTube is saturated at all. I see like a ton of like meme video creators, for example, just pop out of nowhere. And like there's this one guy, I think his name's Chilling Smite. Like half a year ago, all of a sudden his videos got 500K views for each TFT video. I think some even got to like 1 million. And a week ago before that, because I checked his analytics and stuff, they're at like 100 views. And really you could pop up anywhere on YouTube. And there's a lot of other facets that people could get into on TFT in YouTube, because if you look at League of Legends, there are tons of content creators. It's not just the big streamers. It's not just like 2 or 3 big YouTubers. There's so many different people. Obviously, it's a bigger game, but I feel like in YouTube, in TFT, no one tries anything new. except for like maybe me, but I don't even do anything like that crazy. And because of that, like it's not saturated at all, in my opinion. But like you look at a lot of YouTubers, and like a lot of people ask me like, oh, how do I get a big YouTube channel? Like you just have to, one, make good videos, and to do that you need to figure out what works best for you, and you need to experiment. But a lot of people, they do the same thumbnail, they do the same videos every single week for the past however long they've been doing it, and they kind of expect different results, but that's just not how it works, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's what's that quote? It's something like insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right?
Yeah.
No, I think you're making a really good point. Like it's important to find what content actually fits your personality, your skill set, right? And actually play to your strengths instead of just doing what you saw someone else do and succeed with. So do you feel like if TFT were either to dwindle, to die out, just to become less popular in general, would you move to another game, or is content creation specific to TFT the type of content you'd want to make?
I mean, if I find another game that I like, I'll play it. It's kind of weird. I'm at the point where like it's very hard for me to find like games I enjoy. I have this discussion with my friend all the time. We're like, oh, like what's the next game we could play that we could like do for hours and hours? And like when you start like going back to League of Legends, you know something's wrong with like the whole game scene. I feel like either I just have a hard time like enjoying the newer games, or if like the newer games are just kind of more like no one's kind of trying anything that new either. I'm not really sure what the pattern is there, but like I tried Runeterra. It's a fun game, but like it's not anything insane. It's not like the first time I played Hearthstone, for example. So I am waiting for like a new game that actually like blows things out of the water that I'll really enjoy. But if TFT were to die, then I guess I just wouldn't make YouTube anymore unless I find a new game that I'm interested in.
So at this point, you said you've been making content for over a year. What piece of content have you made that you are most proud of?
Let me think. It might be here. Let me just look at my channel for a second. Okay, it might be my Why You're Not Improving video. Back when I was back at that stage, I spent like the most time scripting my videos at that point and like really trying to perfect everything about my videos in terms of the content. And yeah, that piece, you need to definitely understand that, and no one ever talks about it because there are a lot of things that happen in random scenarios that people just aren't used to handling on a day-to-day basis. For example, like one is being results-oriented. And in life, most people are results-oriented, but within a game such as like a card game, if you're playing poker and you're results-oriented, you're like doing something massively wrong. Same thing with TFT, because anytime there's randomness involved, like you just have to think of what's the best decision and try not to let anything that happened in the past affect your decisions in the future. And that video covers a bunch of other things like that. And I feel like that's like one of the better videos I've made.
Yeah, it sounds like a really important piece. I think you know, you're talking about the idea of playing to learn rather than playing to win, right? In a game like TFT, where you're playing the odds, right? You're making the play that gives you the highest estimated value with every turn, and sometimes the results don't actually speak to whether the play was right or wrong. But like you're saying, if you're playing to improve over time, you'll learn to make the right decision more often than not, and over time that will pay out. So one of the things that we did see you do recently was that you commentated one of the most recent Challenger Series tournaments hosted by Giant Slayer. Is commentary something that you'd like to pursue more?
Maybe in some capacity. It's really tiring doing casting. After the whole event, my brain was just completely fried. I don't know how people do it for like 3 days in a row, for example. Maybe if there are like more breaks or like a rotation of casters, it might be a lot easier to do. But yeah, doing like, I think I did like 6 or 7 games in a row. That was quite a bit. It was fun to do. But yeah, if I was able to do it in like shorter segments, that'd be a lot better. That's part of the reason why I don't stream. I can't like play TFT for like 3 or 4 hours straight. I only play like 1 or 2 games here and there. And then like maybe later in the day, I come back to it again. So I guess that's what is another thing that's like quite different about me than other people. I don't have like, I guess, the energy to do something for like 4 or 5 hours straight.
there are a lot of people who come to other content creators and ask for advice, and I'm sure you get asked all the time about what advice you would give to up and coming content creators. And you talked about it a little bit before, but is there any other advice that you would give to people who want to stand out on YouTube?
Yeah, I guess we kind of did dive into this before, but essentially, YouTube's a video sharing platform, so you just have to make good videos, whatever that is, and also just experiment and keep doing it. I'm pretty sure everyone, because I am I do a lot of analysis on YouTube, and I look at every TFT creator, and they've never changed their thumbnail style since TFT came out, and that's completely crazy to me. If you look on my channel, a lot of them are similar, and the ones that work I keep using, but apart from that, I'm always experimenting and seeing what works with different types of people, and also the video content's really important too. Because as you were saying before with the whole saturation question, I think that TFT is not saturated at all, and there are tons of creators who are super for fun in other games, so you don't have to be good at the game. You don't have to be that entertaining either. You just need to do something that no one else has ever done before. And League of Legends, this happens all the time. And or if you look at Fortnite, all these different games that are much bigger than us, they all have hundreds and thousands of creators. But in TFT, there are really only 10 semi-big ones and maybe 50 smaller ones, But there's definitely a lot of room for growth for TFT, in my opinion.
Is there anything you'd like to shout out before we get going?
Yeah, definitely shout out to Kyun, because when I was starting my channel much earlier, he was one of the first big players to do a collaboration with me. So I'm actually really, really thankful for that. Also shout out to everyone in the scene who contributes very actively to try to make the game better, because without that, then the scene kind of dies out and sort of slowly rots away. But yeah, thanks to everyone who watches my videos as well. And yeah, thanks so much for having me on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, BunnyMuffins, thank you so much for being here. I had a pleasure talking to you. For all of you guys who are watching this video, make sure to like the video and let me know in the comments who you'd like to see in the future. And be on the lookout for more interviews coming out this next week.